Welcome to the AI Riff, where we cut through the noise and break down the top AI stories of the week with real talk and real relevance. No hype, no fluff, just a vendor-agnostic take on what's actually shaping your world today. Whether you're in tech, lending, or just trying to make sense of the headlines, we're here to separate the wheat from the chaff and the facts from fiction. Now let's get started with your hosts, Mario Di Benedetto, Rob Katz, Ruth Lee, and me, Kyle Myers. We hope you enjoy this episode of the AI Riff.
Hey, it's nice to see all four of us back again for our podcast that's now 30-something.
30-something, that's awesome.
Yeah, are we just not going to count anymore? We're just going to put the numbers up, I guess.
Do numbers really matter?
I mean, everybody stops counting their birthdays at a certain point. They just go, yeah, it's my birthday, but I don't want to tell you how old I am.
Isn't that when you get over 30? Like you stop
that is about right.
About. I had a humbling walk in the dog the other day and listened to one of my favorite podcasts, and they're like, all right, episode number 893. I'm like, we are on episode 30.
Yeah. But our content is way more interesting.
And we're picking up steam.
Yes.
So what do we got today, Mario?
Today we're going to do a little look into the future, and we're going to piggyback off of some prognostications on what's coming in 2026 with AI. And there's a lot of these running around, obviously. Yeah. It's like how many people do look backs at the end of the year and then do prognostications at the beginning. I'm going to grab off of one in particular that I liked as an idea, which was Sharon Zhao, who's the corporate vice president of AI at AMD, chip maker. And she's also the founder of another company called Lamini, and a professor at Stanford University. And her prognostication, and what it was partly, a prognostication, partly a hope, was that instead of AI, particularly chatbots, being one-to-one, that they really become something that's about collaboration, right? So that they become something that helps people to come together instead of being something that is an individual experience like it is today.
You mean like it would, when I do a Teams chat with someone, you could invite an AI person and they would just chime in as well as someone from Teams. Like
possibly, or the AI could start the chat, right? It could say, I have a reason to believe that you should be talking. Kyle, you should be talking to Ruth because this thing just happened and I know you're both, interested in it. And so let's talk about it.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is, AI bots are prolific in things like Twitter, which I refuse to call X because I'm an old guy, Reddit. So there's AI that is posting content into social areas where there is already people that are interacting, but where Sharon's position was really coming more from was that real-time interaction with multiple people being driven by this AI agent. I thought it was pretty cool. The more that I read about it, the more interesting it really settled with me. It's a neat concept.
And it's funny because we picked this concept a few days ago, and something I saw today is like the perfect incarnation, I think, of it. And it's a little bit geeky, maybe even too geeky for us. I don't know. Do you all know what stack flow is?
What?
If you've ever searched something really technical, stack flow is where people would go and post, and they'd
Stack Overflow.
Stack Overflow, yes. So
okay.
It's where they would post.
I don't know what Stack Flow is. I know Stack Overflow.
It's where they would post, and it's where you could go look up the answers, right? It's like a message board of sorts, right? And you could find the answer to any technical question.
Yeah.
And the number of posts there are down dramatically because people don't need to ask other people.
Yeah.
They can get it right from a chatbot. Well, that helps me, right? But Rob has the same question 5 minutes later. Like, doesn't help Rob. Rob has to go just ask the same question. And maybe he asks a different, like, that's exactly, I think, the kind of notion, right? Is like people, birds of a feather, right, want to share information and they want to have it. I guess there's something about it being asynchronous too, right? You don't always You don't need it right now.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me, I mean, Rob, about like how, because I'm still struggling to see how we would in the mortgage industry, handle having that. I mean, would it be attached to, because, I think about Teams, and now, you have the ability for it to be attached to your data, and, to be able to see like the milestones and things that are going on within, the mortgage business. And, I'm still struggling to really just understand. Can you help kind of frame that, Mario? Can you help frame like how it would work?
Sure. And I think you have to, kind of the way Kyle started, I think you have to appreciate the talking part of AI, but also the listening part of AI, right? That AI can take a conversation and make it go somewhere or help it go somewhere, but it also can start a conversation. So, and we have a bunch of examples, right, that we can go through. So the simplest one is a loan room, right? Key participants, and it doesn't have to be just within the lender, can all be invited into a loan room, and the chatbot can basically be facilitating the conversation. Hey, this just happened on this loan. What's important is this, 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 and this. Imagine maybe a borrower's in the conversation, right? And you could be a text conversation, and you could be just giving the play-by-play. People could be interacting as well, but in that case, the AI could be really driving the entire conversation, right? It could be the kind of the hub of all communication.
So it's like the moderator?
It could be. In the sense that it's listening, it could be, right? You could ask it a question and it could take the conversation wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partial moderator, but in that example that Mario is giving, it's really the host. It is the agent that is sharing the information to the stakeholders. And if the stakeholders choose to respond and ask questions, it'll seek and get the answers. Somebody may ask a question and it may go, hey, Susie, you'd be perfect for answering this one. And bring it to Susie's attention type of thing. So more than moderation, it's really the content provider into the room, providing the updates and status of what's going on with that particular loan.
It might be able to say, hey, we had another loan just like this 3 months ago, and Susie, you made a compliance decision about how we would handle, for example, fees on that loan. So let's talk about what happened there, and it could surface that information. Because I
think that's a great example. That's a great example, right? So imagine just a basic loan room. Maybe let's just say you have your loan officer, your processor, your underwriter. Let's just keep it simple.
Okay.
And your processor comes up against something, and it's like, okay, so this just happened, right? And it's just facilitating, saying we just received, the bank statements, whatever. We received a W-2 from the borrower or whatever, and it facilitates. Okay, the next thing you need to do is you need to do X, and the processor says, I don't know how to do that. I've never done that before, right? Well, it could, like you said, it could go say, I know the organization. I know this person over here has that expertise, and pull them into the conversation real time and say, here's the situation. They need your help. Can you, give them guidance? I mean, that sounds pretty advanced, but totally doable.
Well, and, would it be kind of like a genesis of a co-pilot? Is that, I'm trying... Like, would this be a vendor would provide this? It would be a third party site.
It's gonna have to be a vendor. Like, it's either gonna have to be Microsoft inside of Teams, somebody who builds on top of Teams or Slack. Like, you're gonna need some sort of infrastructure like that, I think. It's hard to go in reverse.
Or is it just your LOS?
It could be your LOS. In the mortgage world, you could have a bespoke version, sure.
I mean, if you were to take a leading edge, new age LOS like Welco's Charlie platform, right, built from the ground up to be smarter and different and better, and extend that with AI chat capabilities within it, it knows everything that's going on with the loan. It knows what every user is, what every user's role is. Why would you need an external system? I mean, it's in the people. Even the borrower gets into their platform. Everyone's in that platform, right? So I think it's I don't know if an Encompass could support something like that, or some of the older legacy systems that are out there, but the new stuff that's coming to market now should be capable.
It's definitely possible, because we did something previously like this. part of the challenge you have to know up front is you can't put too much into it, because now you're burdening people in an environment that they're not prepared to work in, right? Chat is good for things that either you don't have to get to immediately, or you get to immediately and resolve them immediately. You can't put something in front of somebody in chat and make it a task that has to get done in the next 6 hours. Like, it's going to be lost when they leave that chat unless you remind them. I guess, the AI could do that too. But so it's only good for certain things, and you can't overload this mechanism, right, in the way people work. But yeah, you could absolutely do what you're saying, Rob.
Well, I guess, I would start to just think about, and where my mind goes and is, just kind of the dangers there, right? Because, sometimes when you are brainstorming an idea, I mean, bias, prejudice, discriminatory, you're kind of going through and you're thinking through those ideas. And I mean, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the final, but what kind of a fingerprint would that leave on all of that chat and, bringing it forward?
Well, I could imagine the opposite being true too, right? That a chat could help keep that part of the conversation in the right guardrails, right? The chatbot could say that, you're leaning into something that is kind of got a bias aspect to it. Here's what you want to make sure of as you continue to talk about this.
And I've deleted the last 3 comments.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah.
And I've automatically deleted the last 3 comments in the thread. Yeah.
So here's my take. I agree with all the conversation. I think this is great context of it. What about people? Okay, my wife has this complaint about me, but actually it just happened very subtly in the exchange between Mario and Rob. There was a little bit of stepping on each other. And would the bot be savvy enough to know when to step on the trailing words of someone's question, and then, or does it have to wait? And if it waits, does it wait too long? And then the conversation keeps going. And at the very end, and all of a sudden they say, okay, we're going to stop. And then it goes, okay, for the first comment, we had this. And the second comment, I have this. And the third comment, I mean, how do you train it to actually get the verbal cues of knowing when the person is winding down their thought, and you can kind of not have a dramatic pause in between the next step? I mean, it's not like when we end. I mean, we're gracious enough, we can tell if I'm at the end of my thought and Rob or Mario keeps talking, it's okay, because I know you're going to add on and keep going, and I can pause. I can wait. But that's a nuance. And I've seen some of these podcasts where guys are talking on each other and they don't know, the nuance is not there. And I'm like, I can't understand a word anybody's saying because you guys are talking on each other.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Because if you can't understand, why do you expect the bot to understand?
Exactly.
Like, you're holding the bot to a higher standard.
Okay. Fair enough.
But you also have the ability, like, for example, I mean, if you're looking at Otter and people are showing up and, they're all participating, it depends on what microphone. It has the ability to filter who is talking and to be able to extract that information by, IP and,
Does Riverside do that? Does our platform do that, Kyle? Like when Rob and I talked over each other, we're individually recording, aren't we?
Yeah, and it layers on top of each other.
Problem solved.
But the text of it, sometimes, like when I say, that's a good point, and you keep going with the point, it puts it almost at the end, even though it didn't happen there in the sound bite. So
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that way. But the other thing is, it could end up muting you in case you don't like.
Well done, Kyle. Well done.
See? Hey, yeah.
I'm afraid to say anything and talk over you guys. I'm raising my hand. What I thought was really interesting about Kyle, your observation there was you're envisioning live audio interaction, and my brain was, it's a Slack room, it's a typing room, there's no talking over each other because you're just typing into the chat window in an instant message Teams thing. So interesting how your mind went one way, both right. But, okay, I'm right, more right than you. Both right. But,
you're right in the right ways. I'm right in the wrong ways. So
there you go.
But here's the other thing: you get people who are really. I know some people in this tech world that are extremely fast typers. And by the time I get my answer to their first thought, they're 3 strings into Slack, and I'm answering a question that they're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "From 4 ago." Like,
So, what's funny on that is my relationship with my Chat GPT with Roland is one of the top rules is 1 step at a time. I hate when it kicks out like 5 steps. You're on step 2 and you got a question. You ask it a question.
Yeah.
You tell it, so it only ever gives me 1 step at a time, and then it has to wait until I say I'm ready for the next step before it'll present the next step. And that's been a game changer for me.
Especially if like that first step is a little hinky, because you kind of know when it's just kind of wrong, and you go back to correct that, and now it's off on that, as opposed to really like thinking about the larger idea. I just continue to think about, like, my mind is always like, okay, so borrower data bleeding into some partner threads, having, some prior loan context influencing a new conversation. How does all of that really work, and how are we making sure? Because it would be a wonderful way of handling new entrants to the market. I mean, everybody keeps talking at all the conferences about how the mortgage industry, we're aging. And there's not as much of a younger crowd, but some of those people, they won't know if that context is influencing something.
Yeah, and you know what? Also, we're at a point now where we're going to do what a bot wouldn't do, which is we're going to. I guess, can we continue this conversation in another podcast? Because we're already at like way into our normal time frames for either, what do we call it, the walking the dog, or the boring the mom. We're at those points now.
Yeah, I want to talk more. Let's talk more in the next one.
Yeah, we've got I think a whole bunch of other ways, same thing, only different,
Part
that we
2.
can keep going through.
Okay, part 2 is coming up. Hold your horses.